and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin price action and the crypto market updates. Lately, we have been observing that on the weekend Bitcoin price was pumping, and apparently it had been seen by many analysts that Bitcoin has found its bottom around 17,000 USD. However, there are certain things I would like to discuss right now, that why I still think we have downside potential and the bounce is still not, in my opinion, as legit as it seems. First of all, we are going to be looking at the hourly RSI. Hourly RSI shows that Bitcoin had been really oversold, and when Bitcoin is that much oversold, most of the time it retraces. As if we look back in the past, if when we were at this much RSI oversold levels, we really bounced back again and stayed for sideways for a moment and then fell down back again. However, if you see, the RSI was still under the limit, but still we saw the bounce back. And if you see the RSI very close to 30 or 29, then the price action continues upwards for a brief period of time and dumps back again. Similar is the case. I found out that this is a hidden bearish divergence on the RSI, that we have a small bounce, and this is the hourly chart, and I am seeing that we apparently had a bounce. First, the Bitcoin price action was having an ascending, was moving up according to this ascending trend line. However, it took a downturn, and then the ascending trend line was moved about by certain degrees, and then we saw the decrease in increasing price action of the Bitcoin. And similarly, today we made a high of 21,700 United States dollars. However, we respecting this trend line, we bounced off this trend line, and now we have to see whether on early chart Bitcoin bounce from the lower trend line or goes all the way down to this other trend line, which I also have drawn, that Bitcoin yesterday broke this bottom trend line and went all the way back to 19,000 range once again. However, it could keep quickly balanced itself and continued the upward motion, but right now it's coming close to this trend line, and we'll be seeing whether it bounces from this trend line or this one trend line. If Bitcoin bounces from either of these trend line, we can see a continued upward motion. However, our strong resistance is around $22,300, and a very strong resistance from which Bitcoin has been rejecting many times is around $23,000. If you see, in the past, Bitcoin has been rejecting around the $23,000 many times, and even if there was large volume, if you see, the volume in the past was much larger as compared to the volume right now, and still Bitcoin wasn't able to break through this channel, which right now Bitcoin has entered once again from the downside motion. So this is a bearish indicator that I am seeing, that Bitcoin is again doing a bull trap, which we have seen Bitcoin has done multiple bull traps in order to capture the retail traders or the traders that think that bull run is back just by when Bitcoin bounces a little bit after crashing a lot. If you see on the larger time frame, the same scenario, say I'll be opening weekly time frame. If we see on the weekly time frame, this is the little bounce which Bitcoin has done, and if you see, there has been larger amount of bounces which we have observed compared to the bounce of today, and this is accounting to not much motion in the price of Bitcoin. However, if you see the RSI level, RSI is extremely oversold, and this much oversold RSI has never been in motion in whole of 2020, 2019, 2018. This much low RSI on the weekly time frame had never been recorded in the past 5 years or 4 years. However, once this cools off, I am confident that Bitcoin is more likely to continue its downward motion. I discussed this point yesterday as well, that Bitcoin will more likely cool off its RSI from the oversold level in order back into this channel from 30 range to 70 range, and once again it will continue its downward price action. As right now we haven't observed a decent amount of bounce. If you see, the volume is constantly decreasing for the buying side. However, the selling side volume keeps on increasing. Even if you see on the hourly chart, we have seen a decrease in volume while the price is increasing, which shows that most of the time this is apparently a fake out and low volume pumps on the market, and usually these are unsustainable. Moving on towards Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin dominance doesn't look good either. For a Bitcoin strong price action towards the upside, usually which marks the bottom for the bear market, is that the Bitcoin dominance starts to rise excessively and continues to rise until the altcoins bleed. But right now our rallies are being led by altcoins like Solana, Avalanche, and other similar layer 1 altcoins. However, this is not the usual case. Usually the altcoins bleed and Bitcoin dominance goes up until, if you see in the previous bear markets, it has even gone to 70% or 60% for the strengthening of the price of Bitcoin, and this is a normal case. However, we are still seeing that Bitcoin dominance has fallen drastically, and this is not a good sign for the bear market to end. Moving on towards the American stocks. Today American stocks are open. Yesterday we were focusing on the futures only as there was a holiday in US for the stock market. Right now we are observing that the dollar currency index is still moving along the trend lines which I have drawn, and right now we are seeing that dollar currency would be retracing back to this yellow color trend line which I have drawn on a weekly time frame. But right now if we zoom into the daily time frame, we are still seeing that dollar currency index would reach to this trend line at approximately 102 to 103 dollars if it bounces on either of these lines, and we would expect dollar currency index to bounce off this yellow trend line back again and continue its movement upside, as we are in quantitative tightening phase which strengthens the back of the dollar as per the signal given by the US Fed to fight the inflation. Moving on towards Nasdaq, today we saw Nasdaq open in deep green, but right now it is moving a little bit sideways or retracing the little bit gains. And even if you see Standard and Poor Index SPX 500, we have similar motion as observed in the Nasdaq, that first we opened in the deep green and continued motion upwards, but right now we are little bit sideways or retracing the gains made today. Similarly, Dow Jones. Usually Dow Jones, when the rally is led by Dow Jones, if you see the Dow Jones is still in a little bit green on 4-hour time frame. Usually the rallies led by Dow Jones are scam pumps, and if you see Dow Jones in green and Nasdaq and S&P 500 in red, this is usually where the banks are making money most of the time, and the banks want investors to come into the market and they pull off the plug and rug pull most of the new investors. That is why I don't trust the pumps led by Dow Jones, and you shouldn't either. If it's the first time you are looking on the stock market, this is a pattern I usually observe as a bearish signal that most of the gains made today would retrace as the Dow Jones is leading the rally, and this is a very important sign I consider myself when taking a look at the crypto market or even the stocks. Overall, my scenario for the crypto market is still bearish, as we are firstly below the 100 weekly moving average and even the 200 weekly moving average. If we move on the weekly time frame, our 200 weekly moving average would be around $22,400. Let's see where it lies, as it is constantly updated respect to the price of the asset. Yes, our weekly moving average is approximately right now at 22,421, and if we close this week below this line, then it would continue, and then I would be confident that Bitcoin will continue its way downwards. And if you see on the weekly time frame, our RSI is extremely oversold, which I already said that we need to cool off before continuing the downward motion, which you have observed whenever the RSI is oversold like this, we usually cool off and then continue the downward motion. Similarly over here, the RSI was extremely oversold, we continued a little bit bull trap and then continued the motion downward. Even if here you see we performed a bull trap just after this RSI and then continued the motion downwards. Similar is the case I'm expecting, while we have already discussed what are the immediate resistance for the Bitcoin, that is 22,300 and the $23,000. Then the next resistance would be around 28,000. I'm talking about strong resistance, and 32,000. I don't think so Bitcoin would be going there anytime soon, or even in this week. There are most chances of Bitcoin going down, and this is probably a short squeeze right now. If the video was useful for you, please hit the like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.